Hello? Is this thing on? I know. The last few times I've done this podcast, I've had music playing in the beginning and in the end. But it's just different this time. As you guys know, my name is Blake. I'm the host of the Wrestling Tonight podcast, and this one's just going to be a different one. I wanted to record this a couple days ago, but I've been just struggling to put my words together on what's going on in the world. So if you're tuned in and you want to hear about Raw, SmackDown, NXT, AEW, and anything else going on in the wrestling world, it's not going to be one of these topics. It's not going to be a podcast like this today. I'm here to talk about what's been going on recently within the community of the bullying and the death of Hana Kimura, the young Japanese star from Stardom Wrestling. We're here to talk about the recent protests and movements that have been going on in the country for our black brothers and sisters and what they've been going through the last hundreds and hundreds of years in this world, and just everything about the system and what needs to change. So, to start off, before I get into that, let's just talk about everything going on in the wrestling community. A couple weeks ago, Chad Gaspard passed away. He was trying to save his son. If you don't know the story, go look it up. He drowned off the coast of California, got hooked in by a riptide, and just took him away. It's very sad to think about that people in this world give their last minutes trying to help and save someone else. And then to sit down and hear about the stories of him, how caring, how kind he was, how he gave back to everyone he was around, just really touches you. It's just sad to think about. But when this happened, the community came together. Because a lot of you know that this community is at each other's throats, day in and day out. You have an opinion, you're either with it or you're against it. There's no, okay, I understand this and that. You either listen to them, you either support them, and you attack everyone who disagrees with you. That's an issue. I started to follow Ryan Satin more and more. Not just because he's been associated with Fox and WWE, just because I like his viewpoint. I like someone who's open-minded. Because I like to view myself as an open-minded person. So when he starts posting and saying about Dave Meltzer, Brian Alvarez, about how they're just bullying the community and attacking everyone because they don't agree with them, that's an issue. And then you get the fan bases that are behind. You have the fan base that defend them. You have the fan base who support them. So it just draws more and more instead of bringing everyone together to understand that your opinion doesn't have to be right or wrong. And then you look at the situation from Japan, where the young girl, who is my age, I'm 22 years old, who was 22 and she took her life. It's disgusting to think about that people in this world hopped on their social media accounts and just hurled everything at her left and right to make her feel like that. To the point to where she thought the only way out of it was to take her own life. And I understand. It's online bullying. All you have to do is shut off the monitor. All you gotta do is do this, walk away from it. It's not that simple. there's a psychological effect to this. It harms your everyday life. It gets into your head and eats you alive. Thinking about that, seeing what people are saying about you. When you're this high of a person in the world that everyone just speaks highly of, from all the women wrestlers that traveled all over the world, that fought in Japan, that are in WWE now, that are in AEW, from Stardom to all across the world, they've all talked highly of her. Will Ospreay people stepped up and said something about her. She did not have a negative thing in her world until this started happening to her. And it's hard for me to talk because I never had experienced the cyberbullying or anything like that. But the thoughts and feeling of depression and suicide and anxiety, I deal with that, and I still deal with that every day. It sucks. It's terrible to live with. Because you don't know at what point is this going to get better, or when I'm going to feel better about this. You pray and you hope that it goes away like a cold, or like the flu. And you're just cleansed and cleared, and you can move on with your life and not have to worry about this coming back. You don't have to think about these feelings every single day of your life. Because it just eats at you, and some people can't take it anymore. And that's why they do stuff like this. That's why you gotta check on people. You gotta just reach out to them. I'm not saying, text them, hey, how are you? Just be there. Some people just need company in their life. They just need to know that people are there for them. It's a unique situation because everyone goes through it very differently. And this has been something I've been battling with for so long and wanted to talk about for so long. But I couldn't find the words. Until everything happened with me about 7 months ago. I had to put myself in a situation to where I realized I needed help. And I went and got it. I started taking the meds. I started seeing a counselor. Just to help me refocus my mind and to get me to where I wanted to be. I wanted to understand what was going on. A lot of people want to understand what's going on with them. So it won't hurt to sit down and talk to someone. You don't even have to ask personal questions. Just help to understand what the other person is going through before you say something rational. Because you don't know who it's going to affect. And that's a thing that's been going on for a long time within this community. And everything we've been taught in this world. Think before you post. Hey, before I tweet out something, let me make sure and think. If someone saw this and didn't know who I was, what would they think of me if I said this? The Joey from NY, whatever his account is, he blocked me so I can't even see it. He said, and I quote, Alexa Bliss looks like one of those girls that just lays there and takes it. And that could be out of context. I don't know. I didn't go deeper into look at it. I saw the clip. I saw what he said. That's all I needed to see. And you guys can even tell me if I'm wrong, if that's exactly what he said. But just think of that, man. Like, why even say something like that? What is the purpose of saying something like that? Oh, because it's going to make my fan base think I'm cool. It's going to look like I know something when I don't. How do you think Alexa Bliss feel when she heard that? Think that made her feel good? Like, these people in this world are not puppets. They're humans too. That's what everyone needs to understand. Athletes, actors, actresses, everyone across the board. They're human, just like you and me. They know the same stuff. They get hurt by the same things. They might not show it because they're going to have tougher skin than us, because they know they have to deal with this day in and day out. But that's a different story, because they don't deserve to deal with this. And I've tweeted out hate too. I was young, I was ignorant. Then you have to grow and see the other side of it. That's all I'm saying. This topic has touched me because I've been seeing more and more people lose this battle within themselves. It's disgusting to see people like Ricochet, like Ali, like Kevin Owens attack people back for what they say to them. And I get it. These people deserve it. These people are scums. There's no reason for these people to go out here and say stuff like this every single day. To what? Just to get a reaction? To get a retweet? Hey, look what I tweeted and look who acknowledged me. Is that part of the reason why these people do it? Probably. I'm not going to sit here and lie. People want reaction. But there's a certain place and a certain time to do that. If you're going to sit here and hurl racial slurs and derogatory terms towards people, what's the purpose? Because I'll be honest with you, I pray for the day I see this happen with people in my community. I pray I see someone attacking someone for their race, for their gender, for their ethnicity. I will backhand the shit out of them. You know why? Because I don't sit here and just see people take that. They don't deserve it. They're people. They're humans. That's all we are. That's all we got in this world. But some people are failed to see that. They hold themselves higher to another standard. And that's going to lead into my next topic. It's the protests in the world. So, many of you probably know what's going on in this world, and that's protests of the death of George Floyd. He was a man in Minneapolis, Minnesota. He had 4 cops arrest him. I don't even know if there's a reason why. I didn't check the reasons. Because you don't need to see the reasons. He was unarmed. They had him detained and he was on the ground. The officer stood there with his knee on his neck for 9 minutes until he couldn't breathe no more. As the guy is sitting there begging and pleading, I can't breathe. Officers ignore that and just keep going. Then guess what? He ended up dying from it. So what do you want? It's the same situation that happened in Brooklyn. It's the same thing that happened in Ferguson. It keeps happening and happening and happening and happening. And I made a post on my personal account when you wanted to do this Blackout Tuesday stuff. I didn't want to use no hashtags, so I don't want to hide the message. The name changes every week, every month, every year. We're fighting for the same thing. Every single time, and nothing changes. So I get why people in 50 states are protesting. Because they're sick. I'm sick of it. I'm tired of it. Waking up and seeing this in the news. Because I don't want to wake up and see that I lost a friend. I don't want to see that I lost a coworker. I don't want to see I lost a classmate. Because that's when it's going to hit personal and more. That's when more and more rage is going to come out. I'm still at a loss for words on what I want to say about this topic. Because I'm sick and tired of it. We shouldn't have to fight for people to have equal treatment in this world. 50, 60, 70 years ago, we had protests for civil rights for the blacks within this country. African Americans fought just for civil rights. Because you know why? Because segregation. Because they were told they can't go here. They can't do this. They can't sit here. You have to go to these schools. You can't go to that school. You can't even drink out of this water fountain. You can't even walk on the same side of the road as us. And they got fed up. Martin Luther King had millions all over the world following him. And he did everything in his power to lead. Did he get what he wanted? Yeah. Segregation ended? Yeah. But the hate didn't stop. The hate never stops. And to everyone with these protests, and they're against it, and they're saying they're looting and they're destroying the businesses of people, they're burning this down, they're burning their city down, and what's next? What do you want from them? Colin Kaepernick took a knee during the national anthem to show what he's protesting for. And when asked why, he said it's because of the police brutality and the injustice in the system. His teammate Eric Reid stood next to him and kneeled. You guys told them both to stand up. LeBron James, Kevin Durant. They used their platform to talk about stuff going on in this world on their Shut Up and Dribble. And that's exactly what they told them to do. Shut up and dribble. You're athletes. Stop using your platform. No, they're athletes. They have this platform because of us. Because we hold sports to this high standard, this highest standard. And we expect them to be creatures of God. Creatures. Not even humans. Creatures. It's disgusting to think about. The more I learn about this, the more I want to change this, because there's no way we should look at these people like zoo animals. And that's what's going to happen when the virus is still hanging around and they want to bring pro sports back. As of today, June 4th, 2020, the day I'm recording this, the NBA is voting to see if they want to bring back their season on July 31st. No fans, nothing. They're going to be in Orlando. But that's a different topic right now. I'm just saying that we're putting these people in a situation to where it's going to affect them long term. But back to these protests. This is what's going on in this world. They come here peacefully. They come here and kneel. Because they want to show you that they're unarmed. They're not hurting nobody. They come and sit down. And what happens? The police get upset and start pepper spraying and tear gassing them. And beating them and forcing them to move back. Why? So then you don't want it peacefully. Then what? So they're going to start rioting. They're going to start burning down. Because they're going to get your attention one way or another. Because we're done. We're sick of it. And trust me, I don't want to see my city of Detroit burned down. Trust me, it's going to pain me if that happens. But at the same time, we need the message to get out. We need the message to be heard. There's no more hiding behind accounts on social media. There's no more doing this, doing that. It's time to stand up. Enough is enough. I've been seeing this go on for so long. I've been advocating this for so long. Yeah, many of you might not see me do it or hear me do it, but I've been fighting for it in person. And I'm sick. I'm sick and tired of doing this every single month, every single year, talking about the same thing and nothing changes. So it's done. This is the time it changes. The great president we have in office, who's supposed to be a leader, has been hiding. And he's going to use the military as an excuse to turn on innocent people in this country. And just think about that for a second. Would this country turn its military on its civilians? Just think about that before I answer it. If you said no to that question, then you have not seen what's going on in this world. The DEA, the FBI, the CIA, the National Guard, they've all attacked humans. They've all attacked U.S. civilians on U.S. soil. One that comes to mind, because I just watched the documentary on Netflix a couple weeks ago. Waco, Texas. This was something I knew about but never heard the full story of. So, David Koresh, I don't know if many of you know him or not, but hold on. Okay, sorry about that. But yeah, David Koresh down in Waco, Texas, he built this home compound and used it as a religious purpose. I'm not going to get too deep into details. But he had a big following, the Branch Davidians. I'm not going to sit here and bore you with the details on this whole situation because I want you guys to go look this up and read about it yourselves. These people are doing no harm to their community. Maybe they were selling illegal guns that were unregistered and this in between, but they weren't going out and killing people. They actually had a good relationship with the sheriff of their town. And he knew what was going on there. And he didn't bother harassing these people or nothing. Then you have the incidents in Ruby Ridge. I don't know the name off the top of my head. But all I know is the guy's up in Idaho. And they start attacking him. They kill his wife. Kill his son. For what reason? Guy was just hiding out doing nothing. Then you come into Waco. These people were doing nothing there. Then all of a sudden they turned and wanted to attack these people for their way of life. They attacked them one day, killed about 3 or 4, a few ATF agents died in the process. They had a 51 or 50 day siege. And they held these people and they started torturing them. And I know they're going to deny what happened and everything in between. And these are off accounts of people who were there, who witnessed this happen. And then they try to attack it. They try to tear gas them out. You know what happens in the process? They burn the whole place down. And people argue to this day that it was an accident or if it was on purpose. But they end up killing over 75 people, women, children, adults. Men and women, children, pregnant, everyone in between. They all died. Just think about that. This country was founded off violence. And it's going to continue to stay like that until we no longer exist. This country went to war against itself over Confederate states not wanting to give up their slaves. They didn't want to give up their plantations, their work. Just think about that. This country went to war over slavery against itself. And then what? What's next? It's going to go to war against its own people who just want the police to be held accountable for their actions. You put it like this, and I seen this tweet this morning, and this sticks good to me. If a doctor gets a lawsuit against him and gets filed for malpractice, he loses his license and he's never able to be a doctor again. Same goes for dentists. All these people we hold higher standard to. Hell, athletes aren't even allowed back in for domestic violence. And I know that's starting to leeway, but it shouldn't. People need to be held accountable for their actions. And you're going to tell me that, oh, he's a man of the law, he ended up killing someone, it's okay. No, it's not. And I'm not saying that these men and women who are supposed to protect and serve us are always doing the best for it. There's going to be situations to where they're going to have to protect themselves from people attacking them or whatever. Okay, we get that. But that's not the issue. The issue is men and women, mostly of minorities, Mexican, African American, whatever you want to name, being attacked because of their skin color. Being targeted more, being pulled over more. For what? Because they look suspicious? How do you look suspicious? Answer that question to me. How do you look suspicious in this world? Because it's disgusting to think about. And I'm still struggling to find my words here. But let me put this in perspective. I'm white. I'm a young male adult. I don't live in the best neighborhood, but my neighborhood's better in other cities compared around me. But it might not be the best in my city. I've been pulled over multiple times and had guns drawn on me, threatened to have my car searched, and had not been given a single reason why I've been pulled over. Think about it. Let this sit. So I can understand the pain when you get pulled over. You don't even get a reason you have to fear for your life. You wonder if you're going to be another statistic. And maybe if my skin was a little darker, who knows what could happen to me. Maybe I would have been another name on the shirt. But that's what I mean. Why are we doing this to people? You're not even giving a reason. You're not even doing nothing to help them. You're just harming them. The city of Flint, Michigan. The sheriff there, they went there to go control the protest and what's going on. So he sits there and he talks to the people. He talks to them. He communicates with his community, which is something these leaders right now, your governors, your senators, hell, your fucking mayors, aren't even doing right now. They aren't communicating. You know why? Because they're still worried about this virus that's going on right now. And I tell you what, we always knew there's going to be a second and third wave of this virus. And it's going to happen because of these protests. And they're going to try to blame the protests for the second wave. Watch the news. This is what they're going to do. They're going to blame everyone on these protests for the second wave starting. They're not going to blame the states reopening and not making it safe for everyone. They're going to blame the protests. I can guarantee you that. They're going to flip the narrative like they always have on this topic day in and day out. Colin Kaepernick took a knee. They said it was disrespecting the flag. Current and former U.S. veterans came out and said, no, you're not disrespecting us or the flag. And they turned and said no. The people said no. Not even the ones that are agreeing with Kaepernick. That are the ones the people are saying that he's against. They don't care. It's hard to talk about because many of you don't understand the pain these people go through. We're fighting for something that should be given to every person. Because at the end of the day, there's one thing you can't change, and that's your skin color. You could change your gender. You could change your sex now. But you can't change your skin color. And that's all we want. We want these people to be held accountable that are supposed to protect and serve us. We're tired of the injustice in this system that are against people of minorities. We're tired of police brutality against unarmed folks and these people not being punished to the highest extent of the law. That's what we're sick and tired of. And one thing that I can't help but laugh at and think about now, I want to transition into sports here, is everyone doing the PR moves. Tuesday, be June 2nd, Blackout Tuesday. Everyone posted a picture, a black image, said Blackout Tuesday, to show their supports and whatever. That's a different topic for another day. I really don't feel like getting into. But all these professional sports teams, companies, all hopped on the train. All did it. Celebrities and everyone else in between. We know why they did it, because they didn't want to be quote unquote canceled. They didn't want to lose sales in the long run. It's disgusting. San Francisco 49ers did it. 4 years ago, they didn't stand with Colin Kaepernick. They let him get pushed out the league along with Eric Reid. Every single team, every single player. And here's one of my favorite things when I bring this up, and this is back in 2018. Eric Reid. He was the other guy that kneeled next to Kaepernick along the process. And if many of you know, the year after Kaepernick left the league, your president started to talk about it more. And then many people within the NFL started to kneel. They started to kneel together, show solidarity within their teammates and everything else. How do you think those two felt? How do you think they felt when no one else did it with them? Oh, but your president speaks up, so they're going to do it now? No, that's not how this world works. And I get, yeah, change your mind. I'm all for people changing their mind. But this situation was one of my favorites. Eric Reid against Malcolm Jenkins. So, here's a little backstory. Carolina Panther safety Eric Reid had a pregame feud with Malcolm Jenkins of the Eagles. And extended to the postgame where he was yelling and calling him a sellout. Reid and Jenkins have been battling off the field since late last season in 2017, when Jenkins, who co-founded the Players Coalition, stopped kneeling during the national anthem after the NFL announced it would donate $100 million to considered important to the coalition. Why? Called him a sellout for that. And I agree with Eric Reid 100% on this. And then it goes, Eric Reid then kneeled during the national anthem, as he had in the first 3 games at Carolina, to continue his protest of the social injustice and the systematic oppression. But as Jenkins and captains from both teams went to go midfield for the coin toss, Eric Reid charged the field and had a heat exchange with Jenkins. So after the game, they asked Eric Reid what was the situation about why he did that. And he goes, Jenkins, quote, capitalized on the situation. He then added that he co-opted with the movement that was started by Colin Kaepernick. To get his organization started, it was cowardly. He sold us out. So you sit here and tell me what you think. Because I can see many people getting on board and getting behind this movement company-wise. Not people, company-wise. And doing it because they don't want to be canceled in this world. 17 people have died in the protests so far. 3 killed by armed civilians. 3 by police. 1 by the looting. And the others are unknown. It took 9 days to get 4 people arrested for murdering someone. What more is it going to take? And that's my question to all this today. Is what more are we going to do? Okay. I'm sorry, something just happened. I started having a cough attack, and we're back. Alright. So that's what I'm looking for today. Is what are we going to do moving forward? Are we going to start hitting the voting polls? Are we going to start? I don't know. That's my issue right now. Is I'm lost on what to do now. Are we going to go to war within our own country? I don't know. Because it sure feels like we are right now. The revolution is starting. And we need to have change. It starts with getting these people out of office. It starts with the top, and you keep working. Killer Mike, Atlanta hip-hop artist from the duo Run the Jewels. Go look up what he said a week ago. And I wish I had it to play it, but I don't. But he sat here and said, burning this down, what are we going to do? We're going to stand here and watch it after, or are we going to rise? Are we going to get together and figure out the next step of this? Or are we just going to hope and pray it works? Because we need to mobilize. We need to strategize. We need to get together and figure out the next step. We need to attack the voting polls and make change in this community. In your community, my community, all over the world. It needs to change. It starts getting the president out of office. And I know Joe Biden is not the best candidate. But it's far, far better than what we have now. And you could just pray and hope he helps create change. That's all we can ask for at this point. But what's next in the steps? That's what we need to figure out. Signing petitions, donating, protesting. What's next? Voting needs to be up there. We need to vote. We need to get these people out here. We need to put people in. We need these people held accountable for their actions. That's what we need. That's all I have today. Like I said, this was not a normal podcast for what I can do. I've been slacking real hard on podcasts. My mental health, every time I try to get into it, it's just I can't do it long term. I need to change that, and I am going to change that. I need to get my voice out there and help these people hear what's going on. But this is all I have for you guys. I didn't know how long this podcast was going to be. I didn't know if it was going to be 4 minutes. It looks like we're going to be around 40 minutes. This is all I have today. So, I'm Blake. I'm out.